Alright guys, I hope you guys all enjoyed lunch. I would now like to welcome our next speaker, Bhai Charnveer Singh, who will be delivering a Katha about Japji Sahib. Bhai Charnveer is a devoted server for Mother Sahib Court Trust, which is tasked with empowering women, and he's also an art historian who is particularly interested in teaching the meaning of Gurbani. So I'm sure you guys are all going to enjoy what we have in store for you, and without further ado, I'd like to introduce Bhai Charnveer Singh to the stage.
Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh. Everyone's clapping, but they haven't had the talk yet, so I'd wait just a second. If it's worthy, then we'll see. But yeah, like how Bhaji said, Indrajit Singh said, my name is Charnveer Singh. Can everyone hear me? No? Shall I hold it closer? Yeah? So yeah, my name is Charnveer Singh. I'm from... Put it in my pocket. Okay. Yeah. Oh, is this one? Oh, is this a mic? Yeah. I thought it was a battery. Yeah? Everyone hear me now? Okay. So my name is Charnveer Singh. I'm from Leicester. Nothing interesting about that's it. And yeah, I do seva for a trust called Mata Sahib God Educational Trust. Those of you that know who Mata Sahib God Ji is, when we take Amrit or when we sort of commit ourselves to Sikhi, we say that our father now, as we've taken Amrit, is Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and we say that our sort of mother, a spiritual mother if you want, is Mata Sahib God Ji. As we know, they arrived in the sanctuary of the 10th Guru, and where they married the 10th Guru, instead of having a child like a sort of a physical child, their child was a spiritual child, which is all of us, the Khalsa of the Gurus. And we work on using Mata Sahib God Ji's life to obviously empower our young girls, women. As we know, culturally, we have a bit of an issue, sort of giving respect and empowering our females. And with that as well, all of us things as well, we connect with our spiritual mother as well. So we've got a few projects going on. One is an animation movie. It's a £2 million project. I'm highlighting the life and times of Mata Sahib God Ji. And yeah, stuff like this is what we do. I haven't got a PowerPoint. I have a laptop and PowerPoint, but I thought there's no point. You lot had some talks with PowerPoints and stuff, and there's nothing I'm going to put on there that you lot are going to really need to see. Okay, so my talk is a Katha, you could say, or a sort of summary of Japji Sahib. So Japji Sahib is the first writing of Sikhi, really, if you want, the first writing of the first Guru. It is a compilation. So it's not just a part or a sort of section of writing that was, the Guru sat down in one place and just sort of spoke to one person and that was it, and someone wrote it down and that was that. It's a compilation, so each sort of verse or each body was for a specific audience at a specific time in different sort of locations all over Punjab, all over India really, even expanding outside of that as well. And it's the first writing of the Gurus, of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. It starts with, as we know, Mool Mantar. So that starts with Ik Oankar. And Japji Sahib is essentially one part of the sort of expansion of the Guru's teaching. So it starts with Ik Oankar, that is then explained in Mool Mantar, which is, as we know, sort of like 20 seconds of a part. Then that is explained in Japji Sahib. Then that is explained in all of Guru Granth Sahib. So if you look at it backwards, all of Guru Granth Sahib is sort of condensed into Japji Sahib. So if you want like an overview of all of the Guru's sort of teachings, that is contained in Japji Sahib in the first writing of the first Guru. So what I thought is that, I've got my phone, we'd go through some of the Paudia and some of the sort of interesting points to sort of talk about in Japji Sahib. So we start off with Mool Mantar, where Guru Nanak Dev Ji described the non-physical qualities of Vaheguru. So instead of describing them as, a man in the sky with a white beard and stuff, they describe the non-physical attributes of Vaheguru. They explain that, Vaheguru's nirvair, without hate, without enmity, they are without fear, they are Akal, they're eternal. And then this Mool Mantar is then expanded on the whole of Japji Sahib. Okay. And the first body after Mool Mantar, this is the first official body, so there's 38 Paudiyan. There's Mool Mantar at the start and there's a Salok at the end, so you could say 40 as well. And in the first body, Guru Nanak Dev Ji talk about existing practices in the land of India, and they're also accustomed to, I'm sure, of purity through physical purity. So by washing and cleaning and bathing in sort of sacred pools, the mind becomes sort of pure. But Guru Nanak Dev Ji sort of demolished that sort of ritualistic bathing. They talk about how the bathing of our mind is the true sort of way of becoming pure. Then they talk about how a practice that is common amongst sort of meditation in India, which is to keep a mourn. So a mourn is where you sort of you promise for a certain amount of time you won't speak. So in India it's usually like a 12-year thing where for 12 years I won't speak. In that way my mind's thoughts will become quiet and I'll attain some sort of peace. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji say that if we don't speak on the outside, the mind is still speaking constantly within. So they carry on. They talk about how refraining from eating we think is a way of making ourselves more content, but really it's just it becomes a ritualistic practice that is on the outside, but the desires, the sort of hunger on the inside, that doesn't diminish. So that's the first body of Japji Sahib. Then they carry on. They pick up on this point in the sixth body, where they talk about only that place where I bathe that pleases Waheguru is worth bathing in, not somewhere that is sort of ritualistic bathing. Then the next eighth body, yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, they do. So, yeah, you're right, because in a sense, it's not the fact that the old scriptures have dictated that bathing will make you so. It's more the people have sort of made it a more corrupt practice. So in the same way, like you said, you're right. In a sense, we made up some Sikhi practices sort of corrupt in a sense as well, where the Gurus have sort of said that coming to Harmandir Sahib and bathing in essentially the teachings of the Guru, the Kirtan that we're hearing from the Golden Temple, whilst obviously it being a community sort of pool as well. You know, it means more sort of things like people around that don't have access to water. It's a thing for them. People that can't sort of, there's no water for their sort of families, they can come to that. But then we've sort of fused the two and made it into, like a ritualistic thing essentially, yeah. But the sort of ideal is what we're sort of looking at, because obviously if we look at our own sort of communities, there's sort of corruption in all, if you mean, so yeah.
Can I respond to that? So,
Yeah.
it's very different. So in the Guru Temple is very different. So what Guru Nanak was talking about the bathing in Ganga, because for the brothers, it is very essential to be in running water because if they are in the sun, they don't contact the So when you are bathing in the Guru Temple, it's very different because all the caste groups come together to take part in the same food. So it abolishes untouchability with that. So.
Yeah. It's more like so it has a spiritual value, but then it also has a communal value as well. So, yeah, bye.
So this is a day to organize automobiles, places to stay. You were tired, dirty from travel.
Yeah.
And Guruji's message was, how good are, how good look good,
Yeah, exactly. And then the spiritual bathing is the sort of essentially the zenith, the thing that you're looking for in the confines of Harmandir Sahib through the Kirtan, the teachings of. But yeah, you're right.
So through the meditation, the water, Amrit, takes on power.
Yeah.
So that water is sacred water because of the energy of the prayers of the Sangha going on there. And it's not just in our religion, even in Christianity, other religions, they have the process of bathing.
Yeah.
You know, there is something about the water.
Yes.
We shouldn't denigrate.
Yeah, of course. So it is the Gurbani that essentially validates any other action that we're doing. So yeah, the bathing.
The Sangha together, the power of the Sangha and all the prayers of the Sangha, that's what makes it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So yeah, the ritualistic sort of, let's say, bathing, not just sort of all together, that was sort of essentially abolished by Guru Nanak Dev Ji. They carry on then, after sort of removing all of these sort of existing practices and talking about those, they then put forward their own sort of philosophy essentially. And then we have 4 bodiya, another 4, and then a sort of large body. And in these 3 sort of sections, Guru Nanak Dev Ji gave us the sort of simple sort of stage where we can sort of progress our spirituality. So first they talk about listening. So the bodiya all start with Surneya, Sid, Pir, Surnat, Surneya, Tarat, Tabal, Akas, and I can continue like that. So 16 times they say the same thing. By listening, we can attain the sort of levels that the Siddhas reach by their sort of spiritual practices. We can reach the levels that the Yogatanapir, the yogis, the way that they sort of discipline their bodies and attain some sort of peace. We can attain that through listening to the Guru's teachings, to listen to the praise of Vaheguru essentially. But that is essentially the first stage of Sikhi, Sunana, listening. Then there's another fourth body where they talk about Mannana, which is essentially obeying. So if you think of it as your parents are giving you something, some sort of action to carry out. First they tell you, you hear it, and that's it. You sort of listen to it and that's it. But then the next sort of the better son or the better daughter then listens to it and they obey it. Then the third stage is actually doing of that action. Yeah? So they have fourth body of Sunana, where they describe the sort of profits, the benefits we can attain from listening. Then Manana, by obeying Guru's words and actually accepting those. So where we accept that the Guru says that contentment, we should be content, we shouldn't be greedy, we shouldn't have anger within us, we shouldn't have jealousy within us. Hearing that is one thing, then actually accepting it is a different thing. And then we call Nidhyasan. So Nidhyasan is the carrying out of those actions. And that is talked about in the 16th body of Japji Sahib, where they then describe those people that have reached that stage, who have acted upon what the Guru is teaching them, have essentially abandoned the negative qualities of the mind, adopted the positive qualities of a sort of higher sense of thinking, and have reached a level which is described as Panch, as accepted, where they describe those people as Panch, Parvan, they're accepted by the Guru, Pardhan, they are the highest, those people that have reached the spiritual stage, Panche Pava Dargahman, those people attain praise in the court of the Guru. So this is sort of the Guru first presenting their philosophy, essentially, after abolishing existing practices. Then in the next three bodhya, so 17, 18 and 19, they talk about the three elements that sort of the world consists of. So these aren't like hard and fast elements, that, these are the three sort of building blocks that the world is made of. They're talking about the three sort of qualities that the world exists within. So the first sort of realm is essentially a quality called tamo. So tamo gun is that quality that if it is within a person, so if like we talk about hormones and a hormone imbalance and it's bad, you can think of these sort of three qualities as something that is within our body, but when the imbalance is wrong, then we sort of we have problems. So tamo gun is the quality of sort of darkness. So that is the quality that if you say this person has a tamo guni beti, they have a mindset that is very influenced by tamo gun, that quality of darkness, you could essentially say that this person has problems with ego, with sort of inferiority complex, or they have problems with attachment, with greed, with ego, that sort of thing. Yeah. Then they talk about rajogun. So rajogun is half of tamogun and half of the third one, which is satogun. And that is essentially like a balanced mindset. So the actions that we do, tamogun is essentially the actions where, when we get angry, that's a tamoguni action. Or when we get jealous of someone, that's a tamoguni action. And the second one is rajogun. Raj, as we know, means to fulfill ourselves, yeah, Raj. And the things we do just for fulfillment, that are neither really good, neither really bad, they're called rajogun. Okay, so you guys, studying doesn't really count, but like, for example, me buying some shoes, it's not really a good action, it's not really a bad action, it's just an action, it's just for my own fulfillment. Yeah? They talk about those people that do things for their own fulfillment. They can be spiritual actions as well. So in that body, Guru Nanak Dev Ji talk about those people that will meditate, but it's for their own fulfillment. It's not to reach a sort of higher sort of plateau, sort of a higher level of spirituality. It's just for your own sort of fulfillment. I sort of feel good, I'm a Sikh. People look at me and think, this person's holy, and he must wake up early and stuff, and so sad actually. But that sort of thing where you work hard, but it's just for yourself. It's not really a positive action for the world, for the universe, for your sort of soul. That's called rajogun. Then in the third body they talk about satogun. Satogun is that quality within you that invokes you to help someone that is less sort of able than yourself. That thing within you that makes you want to come to things like this, events like this, where you could have been at home enjoying your life, doing whatever you wanted to do. But you sort of made that sort of step to enlighten your souls, sort of learn about the Guru's sort of teachings. Yeah? So that is Sato Gun, okay? But these are the three guns of the world, these are the three qualities of the world that Guru Nanak Dev Ji sort of generalizes the world with these three categories. But we're trying to rise sort of above even those three, right? So we're not trying to become the most content, or become the most truthful, or become the most sort of charitable. We're trying to essentially leave this whole cycle of the world, if that makes sense. So if we say the world is made up of these three elements, we're trying to remove ourselves and detach ourselves from this world and attach ourselves to that Vaheguru, which is a non-physical thing. So then there is a fourth stage beyond that, which is a non-physical stage where we're trying to reach that Vaheguru that is not like a thing we can touch, feel, taste, hear, that is beyond all these sort of senses. Okay. So that's sort of the four stages of Sikhi in that sense as well. Then Guru Nanak Dev Ji, if I skip a few paudiyaan ahead, they come to a paudi, Patala Patal Lak Agas Sa Agas, where they explain that, so the context of this paudi, Guru Nanak Dev Ji travelled to Baghdad, and they meet somebody called Dastagir, who is a Peer, who is a saint of that sort of area. And he's a Muslim fakir, so he's Muslim saint, and as they believe that there are 7 sort of realms, a heaven and a hell for each, so there's sort of 14 lands, Jodha, Pavan, or as we sort of 7 worlds essentially, like the 7 planets, each has a heaven and a hell each. Guru Nanak Dev Ji explained to him that Patala, the lands are, luck are infinite, there are hundreds and thousands of lands. Akash, you think there are 7 skies, 7 heavens, but there are sort of many different universes, galaxies out there. So here we see such a revolutionary sort of mindset from Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Remember, this is all happening in essentially the end of the 1400s, going on to the sort of 1500s. Yeah. In some of the paudiyaan that we've sort of missed out, Guru Nanak Dev Ji picks up on, so those people that are interested in sort of physics and sort of astrophysics, Guru Nanak Dev Ji talk about expansion. So we all know now that the universe wasn't created from just a big bang. It was a big bang, and then after that, they explain the expansion process that happens afterwards. Those that sort of know will know. Those that don't probably don't want to know. But that's why that's why the universe is all one temperature, because it blew up and then it just essentially like projected into sort of what we see now. Yeah. And that expansion, the word literal definition for the word expansion in Gurmukhi is basara, and Guru Nanak Dev Ji say that this whole sort of universe was created from one expansion, from a singularity, which is a concept that we understand now. We also learn that at college and those at university, but we're thinking of when we're talking about the 1400s where Guru Nanak Dev Ji is talking about this stuff. Yeah. So that singularity, that expansion, they then talk about
at the time of Guru Nanak, I think they said that the world was on Bull's horns. The world was That's how we interpret it.
Yeah, so that's the same party where they talk about that expansion. They say that you say that the earth is essentially residing on what they thought was sort of the strongest animal, a bull. They thought it's on a bull, and when they asked what is the bull on, they said another land. They said what's they sort of carried on, and there was no sort of answer to that. Yeah. Then Guru Nanak Dev Ji, in the body, after explaining that the universe is infinite, there's not just one world, one sort of solar system, one galaxy, one universe, there's infinite. They then, obviously Guru Nanak Dev Ji then said that, then the response is that, okay, well, when was this universe created? The age-long sort of the eternal question that is, well, how did we get here, how was this universe created? But Guru Nanak Dev Ji, they don't sort of get drawn into that debate. They say that, if somebody knew, they would have written it in their sort of in their scriptures. Essentially, if the Hindus knew, it would be written in the Veds. If the Muslims knew, it would be written in the Quran. If the Jehudis knew, they would be written in the sort of Torahs. But nobody knows. I praising that Vaheguru for being the infinite one. We can't reach we can't try to contain that God, that almighty force within our minds. Is too vast a thing. Yeah. Then Guru Nanak Dev Ji, so through a few more paudiyaan, we come to one paudi which is called Sodar. So it starts with the word Sodar, which means so means that, dar means door. What is Vaheguru's door? What is Vaheguru's sort of residence like? where we all sort of have that thought that is heaven a sort of physical place? Are there things? Are there people? Are there do the souls walk around as separate souls, or is it one big thing? How does this sort of work? And Guru Nanak Dev Ji essentially physically describes something that is a non-physical entity. Reaching Vaheguru is detaching from this world, where we have a soul, and the soul needs a vessel to sort of operate. So the soul is a non-physical thing, but it needs this body to see and to live, essentially. The soul itself is non-physical, and that's the thing we're trying to connect with, that essentially unifying force that is Vaheguru. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji give that a physical form, so they explain that that door of Vaheguru's, that house of Vaheguru's, is such that everybody sits within that house and praises them. Where different faiths will have different sort of demigods, where they'll talk about Brahma, the creator god, they'll talk about Vishnu, the sort of sustainer, they'll talk about Indra as the sort of the king of the gods. Other faiths will have their prophets and their sort of messengers. And Guru Nanak Dev explained that all of these sit within that residence of Vaheguru and praise that Vaheguru. And there are three of these. So one thing about Japji Sahib is that it's not, like we said at the start, it's not just one part where Guru Nanak Dev Ji sat in one place and just spoke, and then a man was sitting there, and that was it. It's a compilation. And so the Gurus have met different people at different times, and then all of these bodies have been collated and have then been, essentially, if you want, published, have been added into Guru Granth Sahib, and as Japji Sahib itself it's been collated by the second Guru. So this body saw that Guru Nanak Dev Ji say this body, or Uchar, as we say this body, 3 times in their life. So when we hear about Guru Nanak Dev Ji disappearing into the river at Sultanpur, they go into the river, 3 days later they come out. They then describe what they see. And that that is their physical description of a non-physical experience. And that is such that in the king of the gods sits there and praises Vaheguru. All of the sort of dancers of the demigods, they sit in Vaheguru's house and praise that Vaheguru. In the Asan, Siddh Jati, all of the Jatis that have, so the saints of previous times, the sadhus of previous times, they all sit and they praise that Vaheguru. Then later, when their sister Bibi Nanaki asks, was there talk today about Bibi Nanaki? So when Bibi Nanaki then asks, what did you experience? They then repeat that Shabad again. Then that Sodar is the second Sodar that is then spoken by Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And then in Japji Sahib, where they are having essentially a dialogue, so all of Japji Sahib is not just a sort of like a sermon, it's just Guru Nanak Dev Ji sort of speaking, it's like a lecture. It's a dialogue. So in the explanations of Japji Sahib, so I was reading it yesterday, it is literally question and then answer, question and answer. And sometimes the question is posed by Guru Nanak Dev Ji themselves and then answered by themselves as well. So here, then Guru Nanak Dev Ji, when they're asked by the Siddhs, the 84 different Siddhs, which are sort of sect of Hindus, what is Vaheguru's sort of residence like? They then explain it again. So that's the third time that this Sodar is spoken by Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Then after that, we have 4 Pauliya, 4 verses where Guru Nanak Dev Ji converse with the yogis, with the people that practice yoga, but not yoga as we sort of know it nowadays, where it's just something that you go to the gym and book a class for half an hour and sort of do. The original sort of yoga, where it was more of a sort of disciplinary practice, where it was a spiritual practice, where you were searching you were trying to reach a point where you emptied your mind completely, not sort of that and sort of downward dog and all of these sort of things, which is good, as like, especially in the winter, like it sort of helps flexibility and stuff. But original yoga, where you sort of athletes sort of prolong your careers, that's yoga nowadays. But where it was a spiritual process where you were trying to essentially empty your mind and pause your body in a sort of through the physicality, through the engineering of your sort of body, essentially the mechanics of your body. Guru Nanak Dev Ji then talks to those yogis, and they have certain sort of, like we have a Gada, we have the 5Ks and stuff, and they have their own sort of uniform, if you want. They have earrings, or sometimes they wear a ring. Sometimes certain sects they'll Gan Pate, they'll rip their ears and have earrings in their ears. They have a sort of a stick most of the time. They have a quilted sort of coat that if it's essentially it's like you've detached from the world. So if this jacket rips, you just sort of get a patch and sew it up. It's to show that you're detached from the world, essentially. You're not going to buy like a new sort of garment, essentially. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji, then, a thing that they do very often is, we sometimes, this is one thing we get confused with, where we hear about Guru Nanak Dev Ji and the Janil, the sacred thread of the Hindus, and we think that they said, no, we're not going to wear it. And then when they would go to a festival of some sort, and there was some sort of worship going on, they would say, no, we're not participating in this worship. When they go to the river and then they throw the water the wrong way, that example, or when they go to the mandir and they're doing arati standing up and they stay sitting down. Guru Nanak Dev Ji doesn't ever sort of, they're never a rebel just for no reason. Even the Janil, for example, when we read the Shabads of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, we hear about the time when they're young, they're about 5 years old, the time of the ceremony of the Janil, the sacred thread being put on a Hindu child, and Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, no, we're not wearing it. Really what they say is that if you have the Janil I am asking for, where the kapar, the wool that it's made of, is contentment, where the vat, the sort of plaiting of it is of discipline yourself from lust. Jat gandhi sat vat, the vat, the sort of knot that you tie it, is of truth. If you have that Janil, then they say, hey ta pande kat, hey hagi, if you have it, then give it to me. And in the same way, with these yogis, when Guru Nanak Dev Ji talks to them, they don't say, this that you're wearing is wrong, and you should take this off, and this is false. What they say is that the rings you wear should be of contentment. Munda santok, saram pat choli, the begging bowl that you have should be of sharam, of humility. So where you have a begging bowl and essentially is self-deprecating in a way where you sort of think, I'm the lowest of the low, I'll beg to sort of eat, and that will keep my ego in check. Really, having humility is the same as having that begging bowl, if that makes sense. Yeah? The physical is this begging bowl that makes me feel like I am the lowest of sort of all of society, and that will keep my ego in check. But really, just being humble itself is the begging bowl. Saram paticholi dhyan ki kare biput. Biputi is ashes, and you sort of, as you'll see in sort of BBC documentaries or in India, or if you go yourselves, sort of see these things, you'll see sadhus sitting and they've essentially got ashes and they've rubbed it onto their sort of body. The reason for that was that they are sort of, as we cremate, when we pass away, our process is cremation, and so they are essentially saying that we are dead from the world, and that's why we're putting ashes on ourselves. That's their theology. Guru Nanak Dev Ji said that the focus on Waheguru, the focusing on the word of the Guru and detaching from the rest of the world, is essentially the same as you putting these ashes on yourself and doing the same thing physically, but really it should be a virtue thing. You should be adopting the virtues, not just sort of the physical aspects. And one thing that Benji made a good point earlier when regarding bathing is that we fall into that same category as well. So I can't then sit here and say, yeah, the Hindus were doing this, and the Guru came and told them they're wrong. I can't stand here and wear kada and not sort of adopt the virtues, or wear kirpan and adopt the virtues a kirpan should instill in me, or the sadhan case. And I look in front of everyone here, I look sort of knowledgeable and I look sort of holy and whatever else sort of we must be. But really I should have the virtues as well, right? So we have to apply all of that to ourselves. So where this is a dialogue between Guru Nanak Dev Ji and a yogi, Guru Nanak Dev Ji and a Siddh, Guru Nanak Dev Ji and a Brahman, it applies to all of us, because all of those are like the corrupt sort of practices that they reside within all of us individually, and then all our community essentially as well. Like, as if we look at ourselves and be really honest, as Sikhs, a lot of what we do, we don't really know why we do it, and we just sort of we do it as well. So we fall into that same sort of card, that same sort of ditch as well. Then Guru Nanak Dev Ji, so just to sort of finish off, and then I thought question and answers is normally the best sort of thing, leave some time for sort of questions and answers rather than me just sort of preaching. The last sort of stages that Guru Nanak Dev Ji talk about, so we've talked about the sort of practical stages where listening to the Guru, obeying what the Guru is, accepting or sort of obeying what the Guru has said. Obeying is a bit of a harsh word, I think accepting is a bit better, accepting what the Guru is teaching us, and then actually acting upon that, then the reaching of that stage, sort of 4 stages. Then the 3 elements of this world, the 3 sort of attributes that the world is sort of created of, these 3 energies you could say, And then beyond that, so then above those three, the fourth stage again. They, in 4 paudiya, in 4 verses, they describe 5 realms. Because remember, they're talking to people that don't understand non-physical word. There is no word for non-physical back then, or people don't understand. They're farmers and they're people that work in a shop and sort of that's their kid. They don't understand, complicated sort of language like you guys here do. Guru Nanak Dev Ji have to explain to them in a physical sense all of this non-physical knowledge, essentially. So in these next 4 paudiya, so that, again 4 stages, they describe 5 realms. The first realm. I wait for that cough for about 5 minutes, but I thought, okay, I'll keep going. The first realm is what we're all operating in now, which is Dharam Khand. So Khand literally means like continent, or land. So in the world is sort of, in India, usually the world is separated into 9 continents, Nau Khand, Satdeep, 7 deep, so the different sort of categories of dividing the world up. They say the first Khand is of Dharam Khand. Dharam means like righteousness, so the sort of testing ground for your righteousness. So this life that we're living now is essentially, God has put us in this life, put all obstacles in front of us, all of these sort of difficulties we come across, they've been put there for a reason, right? And sort of passing through that adversity is what makes us sort of elevate, essentially. And that is Dharam Khand, where our righteousness is tested. So on a day-to-day basis, and we might sort of try to rebel against that, thinking that, how am I meant to practice my Sikhi, or how am I meant to walk on the path that the Guru has sort of given me when this keeps happening and that keeps happening, my family's like this, and my studies are taking time up, or I have to go and hang around these people, or my company's like this, whatever. This has all been put here to test our righteousness, essentially, to test whether we know what is correct in a spiritual sense and what is incorrect. Okay, so that is the realm we're all operating in now. It's a big sort of test. With cones and sort of, we have to sort of maneuver around those. Okay. The next then realm, and it's described physically, but if we just sort of take the meaning from it, is Gyan Khand. Gyan means it can mean knowledge, but it can sort of mean realization as well. And so that realm where we realize the truth, essentially. So there's a time when we think that living is essentially food, water, people, money, and belongings, and that's sort of it. But then when we reach that realm of Gyan Khand, where we have realization, we realize that everything that we see, we touch, the people we know, it's all temporary, and at some point they all sort of leave you behind, or you leave them behind. And we know with the stories of Guru Nanak Dev Ji and the needle, and sort of they say, give this back to me in the next life. And he says, I can't. And they say, why have you got everything else around you then? So they then talk about that realm of realization. That stage where you realize, okay, so this is correct. I realize I'm a soul, I'm not a body. Because often we say I have a soul. That's generally how we sort of word it as well, and that's how our ethos is sort of corrupted as well, where we say I have a soul, but really we should be saying I am a soul and I have a body. So that sort of realization that there's more to this than everything I see or whatever comes through my senses. That is the realm of Gyan Khand. The next Khand is Saram Khand. Saram is not like the word we used earlier, sharam, like humility or embarrassment, but sort of in that context it was humility. Saram means, when you say, in a sense, when you say sram means to make efforts. Yeah? So mehnat, if we use the word sort of in Punjabi or Kalana, where we work at something. Yeah? So then having that realization, that's all good. We're all sitting here now, and we're listening to Charnveer Singh, everything is correct. Yes, we are soul. Yes, this, yes, that. Yes, we should be more content. No, we shouldn't be greedy. Everything else, right? But then there comes a time where we have to make effort then to sort of actually reach those levels of becoming content, becoming detached from the world, not having ego, not having sort of jealousy, or sort of seeing people, not having duality, not seeing enemies and friends and family and baraya and sort of strangers. We have to reach that stage then, and that's when we have to sram, we have to essentially work. So that realm of actually putting that into practice, meditation, serving others, to drill that into your sort of your mind, that this is what we are, we're a soul, part of a unifying force. The fourth stage is Garam Khand. Garam Khand. Garam means basically it can mean three things. It can mean action, the action you're doing. The karam, the kirya I'm doing right now as I'm standing, my hand is here, my hand is now there. That is a karam, an action that I'm doing. And then we use that word often, so this is just to remove confusion. We use that word as, karma, but it means the same thing. It's actions that we've done back then that we're then having to sort of fulfill now. So that it all means the sort of same thing. And then karam also is obviously a good action. It means blessing. So the good action we did back then, we sort of we reap that reward now. And that's what this realm is about. Karam meaning rewards. So that's saram, those efforts that we sort of made towards our spirituality, we then reap the rewards of that. We then experience that bliss from doing Simran, where at the moment we're forcing ourselves to do Simran, which is not a bad thing. We sometimes think, oh, I do Simran, I do Bart, I do this, that, X, Y, Z, but I don't really feel any sort of bliss. It doesn't matter, because you guys are all studying here. You don't get your degree in the first year or in the first 6 months. You have to work all the way to the end and then you get your reward. But we don't see spirituality like that. We think, no, I should be doing it now and seeing some sort of rewards. But if you think of the jobs that you get the reward instantly, would you rather have that job, or would you rather have the one where you get paid at the end of the month, or the end of 6 months, or the end of, I don't know, 2 years after whatever project you're involved in? Yeah? So you want the bigger rewards take longer to arrive. So if spirituality is the biggest sort of essentially project or the biggest effort you're going to make in your life, why are we expecting rewards right now? And that's where Guru Nanak Dev Ji explained that in Karam Khand, after all these stages, that's when we then reap those rewards of the efforts we made to sort of make ourselves more humble, all those sort of qualities. Yeah? And then the last Khand, the last realm, the last sort of continent is Sach Khand. So we refer to that word often. We will refer to where in the Gurudwara, where Guru Granth Sahib Ji in the evenings at night will go into, we'll refer to the place as Sach Khand, where the Guru resides. That's sort of more physically, we're saying, like where the physical Guru, Guru Granth Sahib Ji, the Guru in this world, essentially, resides in this world, right? Sach Khand. Sach Khand is the realm of truth, or the one that is true. Even that, when I say that, usually, so now I sort of have to explain this because, well, ever since I've sort of learned, the word Sach, we hear the word Sach and we think it means true. And we, the name of Vaheguru is true, Vaheguru is true, his people are the true ones. It's like, what does that mean? Hannah? The word Sach, it doesn't stem from, or Sat, like Sat the noun, it doesn't stem from the word Sach. Sach is a later development of that word. The word Sat comes from the word Sad. And as we know in Punjabi, Sad, we say Sada, like all the time, or we say Sad, like eternally, essentially, all the time. Yeah? That thing that is eternal is true. If this table is not true, why? Because there'll be a time when there's no table here. Or this building, I can't say it's true, it's Sat, it's eternal, because there'll be a time when it's not here, it's false. It's here for a little while and then it disappears. Like an illusion, essentially, it's just a bit of a longer illusion. So that word, Sach, we should sort of think of it more meaning eternal than true. But that is why it's true, because it's eternal. It's the thing that doesn't disappear. We used to have true friends. Our true friends are the ones that are sort of are there after 10 years or 20 years, not the ones that are sort of gone after 2 weeks. So that's where that comes from, the truth. It comes from the thing being eternal. So that Vaheguru being eternal, and that place that we're trying to go to, non-physically, is that place where we can attain that eternal bliss. So where we get a little bit of bliss from our family or our friends, or from drink, or from eating certain things, or from whatever, playing, is it PS4 now? I don't know which one's PS5, PS4, or doing whatever we do, we attain a little bit of bliss. There's no denying we don't attain a bit of bliss. But if we want eternal bliss, we have to attach ourselves to something that is eternal in itself. Yeah. If we want, it's like a power source. If you want eternal, you want constant power, you go for the source that is a constant source. Yeah. That bliss that we want, if we want it to be eternal, we have to attach ourselves to that eternal Vaheguru. Yeah. And that is the last realm that Guru Nanak Dev Ji talk about. Yeah. Then the last body, remember there's a slok on the end, so not the slok. The last body, let's go through it quickly. Guru Nanak Dev Ji gave an example and a summary of everything we've just talked about, and everything that is in Japji Sahib as well. They give the example that of a coin being struck. So first, the ore, it's like a gold coin. The ore is sort of filtered out and then sort of melted down, and then at the end it's struck. And they describe all of the different qualities that represent the anvil ahram, the anvil, should be our mat, our mind. The thing we hit against it should be the Guru's teachings. Ved Hatyar, the Hatyar, like the hammer, should be the teachings of the Guru. So our mind should be constantly sort of, looking for a better word than bashed. It should be hammered by the Guru's teachings until it sort of becomes the shape that we want it to become. Yeah. Ahram mat ved Hatyar. Pa kala, the kala, the sort of fan. Bellows. Oh, I didn't. I'll just learn that. The bellows, yeah, the thing that you squeeze, you know, the old sort of leaf blower of the olden times. That should be of fear of the Guru, and that will keep the fire sort of essentially burning. Not the fear in the sense of like, in other faiths we have a fear where don't do this, if you don't do this, you do this, otherwise you'll go hell. Not that sort of fear, a fear of love. You know, like if your parent, I don't know what your parents are like, but if you feel your parents like I feel my parents or my dad sort of, it's not in the sense that like he beats me up or anything. I know it's there. He's there waiting, but he doesn't. It's more a fear that, you know, I don't want to disappoint this person. I don't want to disappoint X, Y, Z, and that's out of love, really. So it's that fear that is bo, and which stems from the word bao, which is of love. That fear that you don't want to sort of you don't want to sort of sabotage this love that you have with your Guru, essentially. Yeah? And that should be the bellows. Thank you. Bokhala agan tapatao, and the agan, the fire that you're trying to with more sort of oxygen, more air, make bigger. That fire itself should be tao should be your physical, your worldly discipline, which is important as well. So we're talking about everything non-physical, but we live in a physical world. So I can't say I need the virtue of a kada but without wearing a kada, or I need the virtues of a kirpan and having a case and a dadi and a dastad, etc., without the physical aid, essentially, that sort of stabilizes on the cycle, essentially. That should be your tap, your physical, you said the word penance, but your physical discipline, essentially. I will wake up in the morning to do my part, or I will make some time to do this, or I will do seva and push my body, essentially, to do something spiritual. And then as I carry on, so the panda that the gold then comes into is pao, is of love for Vaheguru, for that eternal sort of unifying force, which is essentially the base of Sikhi. It's not a, you do this, you go heaven, you do that, you go hell. It's a devotional worship, essentially, where we are devotees of the Guru, not necessarily just disciples of the Guru. That panda should be of pao. Panda pao amrit titatal, and then the bliss that we attain from doing our meditation should then gather and fill up in that panda. Kadiya, and in the end they say Kadiya sabad sachi taksal, that coin, that essentially like our mind, we should strike that coin to, you know, if you see a pound, it's struck, and that's how you know it's a pound, it's not just sort of plain. We should mint that coin in the true taksal. The taksal means the true treasury of the Guru, that is their teachings, and obviously later it becomes Guru Granth Sahib Ji, and all the teachings we have in Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Then in the end, the slok, they describe those people that essentially leave this world having ticked all of those boxes we just talked about. Their faces are radiant, so in a physical sense, those people that are imbued in a sort of spiritual bliss, physically we will see that effect on them. But then also the faces, you know, in a sort of figurative sense, the face that they go to Vaheguru with is radiant to Vaheguru. It pleases Vaheguru. Essentially, they leave this world. They vacate from this world and the attachments of this world, and they reach Vaheguru. So just one story about Japji Sahib, or sorry, one quick one and one sort of a little bit longer story. We've heard about Japji Sahib. That's a whole sort of summary of Japji Sahib, yeah. And it's all good and well, but then it will come to a point where we actually have to read Japji Sahib to read about everything I've just sort of told you about in brief, right? The power of Japji Sahib, remember, it is the first part of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, is the first part that when Amrit is made, when you take Amrit and you become officially a member of the Khalsa, the sort of force of the Gurus, it's the first part that is read. When a child is born, the Amrit that is given to the child is from just Japji Sahib. Obviously, we're not giving the child Amrit like a grown person would. A kirpan is essentially swirled in jal with batas, Japji Sahib is read, and that's all. And then the child is given that what we call gurti, that initiation into this world, hopefully as a Sikh of the Guru. Japji Sahib is also any saint or anyone who has reached any spiritual level in Sikhi, like all of them, 100% of them, they've all started their spiritual journey from the meditation on Japji Sahib. So it's not that you read it once and it's done and you live your day and carry on. You can read it again and again and again. And so one story is of somebody called Bhai Lakhu, who was around at the times of the 5th Guru. So he was from a place called Manawa, which is near Amritsar, Golden Temple. But he was sent to Lahore. He was sent to Lahore to do seva there, essentially. Right? And he had a thing, every day he would do 21 Japji Sahibs. That was his thing. He would remember at those times that certain writings haven't been unearthed. The 10th Guru hasn't come around to then give us Jopwe Sahib or Jap Sahib. It was just Japji Sahib he had at that time. So he was reading Japji Sahib. He used to do 21 Japji Sahibs a day. And you might think that's a lot, but when you sort of done bar for a while, Japji Sahib takes about 10 minutes, and to do 21 of those, it's not unheard of. Somebody could do it today, right? It's a sort of tangible number, 21 Japji Sahibs. And he also used to have a rule that he would only eat from that person that had Japji Sahib off by heart as well. So in that way, his surroundings were essentially just Japji Sahib. Everything that he did, everything that he was surrounded by was Japji Sahib. When his food was prepared, they would be reading Japji Sahib as well, yeah? And there's a story where what happens is somebody from Lahore who owns like furnaces and essentially sells bricks, he, by Buddhu, he goes to the 5th Guru and he says, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, please bless my new endeavour. I took a loan out of however much back then, and I'm looking to sort of, get into this, I don't want to call it brick merchant, this sort of selling brick industry. Please bless my garage. And what Guru Nanak Dev Ji said is that what you should do is to seek the blessings of your sort of Lahore and this sort of community. Do a free langar for a whole day. Do a free langar. You provide everything. You pay for everything, and just feed as many people as you can in the day. He does that. The day comes. He's serving everyone. It comes to the end of the day, and he checks that everyone's been fed. He sort of closes off. Money been put away. And what happens is this Bhai Lakhu, who used to be a thief. So he, the way he came into the sanctuary of the 5th Guru was that he used to wait in the sort of forests around towns and sort of wait for people to go by either to a wedding or to sort of different functional convoys that were moving, and he would rob them, but he would rob every single thing they had there. He would take the clothes off. If there were women walking, he would take the clothes off the women as well and leave them with absolutely nothing. And what happened is he met a saint called Bhai Pirana, who spent pretty much all of his life with the 5th Guru. And he saw this saint, and obviously he's sort of a common thing in India, like the sort of hypocrisy of, you still will like sort of go to the saint, or you'll still go to the sort of holy place, but your whole life is sort of spent in sort of negative actions. And what he did was the stuff that he had stolen, he put in the feet of that saint and said that, I hope that I will attain some sort of blessings from this. And if I do, he's sort of saying this in his mind, if I do, the next time I rob, whatever I rob, a third of it I'll bring for the saint. And he's successful. He's successful in his next robbage, in his next sort of theft. And that's a joke, by the way. That's actually a word. He takes everything from these women that are traveling to a wedding, everything from them. They literally have nothing, so they don't even go anywhere. They just sit there and just cry. And he goes to that saint and he puts it in front of the saint and he says, "You heard my ardas essentially. I said that I'll give a third of whatever I had. Here I brought half of it." And obviously that Bhai Pirana sort of thought, you've brought this negative deed to a saint. Why shouldn't it be that I give you a negative sort of, like not a blessing, but I should sort of give you a curse essentially. You're meant to bring good things to a saint. You're bringing negative things to a saint. Surely I should just give you a curse then. And he sort of got a bit scared of that. Like, I didn't realize that. I thought if I just gave him stuff, I'll get blessed. And then he went back and he gave his stuff away. And that's how he came into the company of Bhai Pirana and the 5th Guru. And this Bhai Lakhu turns up at this langar that this Bhai Buddhu's doing for his business. And he turns up after it's shut. And he's like, "Look, can I get some food?" And he goes, "I don't know, we're sort of done now." He said, "Look, put everything away." And he says, "It's a langar, like, what do you mean? You can't say no to someone. That's the rule, it's a langar, it's for everyone, there's only one rule." And there's a bit of a sort of dialogue, and that Bhai Lakhu gets angry, and he not curses him, but he sort of gives him a curse. He says that by Buddhu, your itta, your bricks will remain kache, will never sort of become sort of hard. Essentially, they'll never become like as good as everyone else's. But on the other hand, Guru Arjan Dev Ji has already said that your business will be successful if you do this langar. But now there's this Gursikh, the Sikh of the Guru, who does 21 Japji Sahibs in his day, who said this to me now. So what he does is, Bhai Buddhu goes to Guru Arjan Dev Ji and he says that I've now received a blessing from you, saying that your business will be successful because you do langar for everyone and stuff. But now this Bhai Lakhu, he is giving me a curse as well. How does this work? Like, these are your Sikhs. Why are they saying stuff like this to me? And the Guru says that, look, my Bhagats, he's reciting essentially my writing, my Bani. Like this Guru Arjan Dev Ji saying that, but they're the fifth Guru essentially. So saying the Guru's writings, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, he's reciting the Guru's writings. He does 21 Japji Sahibs a day. That power that is within him, stuff he says will have to be fulfilled now. And your ita will remain kachiya. And what happened is his furnaces would produce bricks, and they would just be sort of soft, and they wouldn't be as good as the rest. But Guru Sahib said that, but you still fulfilled the langar. You still sort of did the langar as I'd said to you, so it's not really your fault in a sense as well. What will happen is your bricks will remain sort of below the quality of others, but they'll sell for more than sort of decent bricks. And what happened is that later on in Lahore, a time came where the sort of reservoir of water, as if you see in India, there was wells on a sort of elevated up. And if you look at Harmandir Sahib, you'll see sort of the side where the water is sort of kept, and when there's a shortage, it's sort of released. There was a problem with the sort of structure around that, and they needed bricks, but there was no availability essentially. And what happened is, when there's no other bricks, he could charge what he wanted, and he charged them sort of more than everyone else was. And his bricks sold for more than everyone else's essentially at that time. So the long story short, it was about the power that resides on the tongue of somebody who essentially does just 21 Japji, I'll say just for 21 Japji Sahibs a day, essentially. Where even the Guru doesn't then negate what they say. They say, well, his speech, then it has to be fulfilled as well. His what he said, bachan, the word that's come out of his mouth has to be fulfilled. That even the Guru doesn't, bypass what that Guru Sikh had said. Yeah. Then there's just one quick story as well. There's at the time of the sixth Guru, somebody called Bhai Gopala, Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji is the sixth Guru, and they say that, is there a Sikh that can recite Japji Sahib perfectly for me, and I'm willing to give them whatever they want. And then, so the enunciation of Gurbani, which is part of sort of I do on a sort of a weekly basis, 2 classes I do a week, is the correct pronunciation of Gurbani. So these meanings from Japji Sahib, they can be misconstrued, and we only can sort of understand Japji Sahib if we understand the sort of grammatical pronunciations of Japji Sahib, and then we can take the meanings from those. And there's this Bhai Gopala who is well studied in the recitation of Gurbani, and he sits and he starts and he speaks Japji Sahib, and he says it to Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji, and he says it perfectly. He doesn't say anything incorrectly. And Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji are so happy with him. They say, you should ask for whatever you want, ask for it. I'm willing to give whatever you want. And he didn't know obviously what the Guru was sort of hinting towards. He's sort of looking at the Guru, and he looks that way and he sees a horse. And he thinks, oh, Guru Sahib, it'd be really good if I got that horse, the black one. And he said, oh, the horse, I was willing to put you on the throne, make you the seventh Guru for the complete, Shuddh, the perfect Ucharan, reciting of Japji Sahib. I was willing to put you on this throne and make you the next Guru, and I would have sat down on the floor from here. That is the sort of the worth of Japji Sahib and the sort of correct recitation of Japji Sahib. That is essentially on the same level as the Guru, Gurbani and the Guru. There's no difference within that, and that is Guru Hargobind Sahib, the sixth Guru, sort of showing that to everybody that that Japji Sahib is worthy of the throne itself, and the person who's speaking is essentially worthy of the throne as well. So that is, but his mind went on a horse, and he got the horse. So it's still a horse out of it. So, but yeah, that was just 2 stories about Japji Sahib. one of the things when we hear about Baba Deep Singh, we all know the story about Baba Deep Singh fighting without their head in Harmandir Sahib to protect the sort of sanctity of Amritsar. He said that in their day-to-day they would do 101 Japji Sahibs. So if we think about their life and what they did throughout all of their life, which we sort of overlook sometimes, and then at the end of their life what they did, the way they became a martyr, that's somebody who used to do 101 Japji Sahibs a day, essentially. So that is the power that is contained in this Bani. If we just sort of, me, myself, like I've always said, even though what we've just been talking about, that you should just spend like however long doing, because the thing with Japji Sahib, like if I've already, it's a summary of Guru Granth Sahib, right? So it's super like condensed, there's so much like going on that you should just take your time reading Japji Sahib. If it takes a few days, if it takes like a month, you should just slowly pick away at one body each. I'm not saying here to do however many Japji Sahibs a day or whatever, but we should sort of pick up maybe in like tomorrow we do Mool Mantra, we just look at the meanings of Mool Mantra, and then the next day another body, 40 days and it's done. So it's not like a quantity thing, but these are the souls that have infused their sort of mindset with the Guru's teachings, essentially, which is Japji Sahib. So that's the talk. I don't know when I started, so I apologize for how long I've taken. But if anyone has any questions, you can ask them now. I saw hands move, but I'll put the hands up. So yeah, that's all.
When was Japji Sahib sort of made into a part that Sikhs who were just followers, the devotees, when did that sort of become formalized that this is the morning Bani, or is this something much new and grand?
Yeah, so this is a brilliant question. Something I missed out on my notes I'd written down, but I forgot to sort of say. So with Japji Sahib, like we said, with all Bani as well, it's all Guru Nanak Dev Ji or the Gurus meet this person and they say this, and they go meet that person and then they say this, and all the Shabads have now been collated into Guru Granth Sahib Ji as we know now. And Japji Sahib is the same as well. It went sort of just one Bani in one sort of sense. It's each body, and each is a question and answer. Like look at all the different topics and the different types of people we talk to. They might all just sit in one place, sort of thing. So the person who's essentially collated all of the, as we say, the Rikhi. Rikhi is the person who's spoken the Bani. That is Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And the Kilak is the person who has collated the Bani, and that is Guru Angad Dev Ji. It's Guru Angad Dev Ji that then sits in Kartarpur with Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and then they say the whole thing, and then it's all added into one part. Then when does it enter into our sort of day-to-day? Obviously, like we have to remember that certain Bani come later. So what happened before the 10th Guru's Banis came, like Japji and all the ones we see in our day-to-day Bash now, what would happen is, I know during the third Guru's times, we had Japji Sahib, we had Anand Sahib, which is the first Guru's writings and the third Guru's, and when a Guru could wake up, they'll do Japji Sahib and Anand Sahib, and then after, so in India, like lunch is sort of breakfast essentially, you'd sleep and then you wake up. Then like around noon time, there'll be another Japji Sahib and Anand Sahib. Then in the evening, you would read Sodar. So the body, the 27th body, the one we talk about, there's 3 versions. And there's one version that comes in Rera Sahib, which is the evening part we do now, the first sort of body. And that would be your evening sort of, your part essentially. So it'll be essentially Japji Sahib and Anand Sahib until like the 10th Guru's times, where we have, Japji Sahib, so Japji Sahib, and then there's all of the first 5 Guru's parts that make Rera Sahib up, and sort of Kirtan Soda as well, obviously, which is the first Guru's writings we do before we go to sleep, and that's been the same since then. So, and then the actual, because there's even the word like Jap, that's one thing I missed as well. So the word Jap itself means to recite. Jap, there are certain sort of like categories. So like the one who has created the Jap, that is Guru Nanak Dev Ji, the one that's created it, that is we call the Kilak, and then the one that has essentially published it, then that is Guru Arjan Dev Ji, who's then put it in a sort of writing, which is Guru Granth Sahib Ji.